U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders made an appearance in front of hundreds of supporters at a rally event in Orono today as part of the Fighting Oligarchy tour. Joining him was Maine Senate candidate Graham Platner and Maine gubernatorial candidate Troy Jackson ahead of the upcoming primary election on June 9th. Jackson spoke about his previous experiences and his promises to pass bills that would cut taxes for working families and lower prescription drug costs. Platner spoke about his time engaging with students across Maine, advocating for affordable education, housing, and health care, as well as criticizing the Trump administration's current policies. Sanders spoke about progressive candidates and grassroots movements across the nation, as well as advocating for increased wages, improved child care, and senior living.
What is radical is when billionaires control our political system. It is not radical to say that we should not have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any nation, and that so many of our seniors should live in economic despair.
The world that we live in is not how it has to be. We can have a healthcare system that is not just another mechanism of extracting wealth out of working Americans, but a guarantee of safety and health for all.
Solidarity is not just a word, it's a lifestyle. And that is what we're going to do in this race, these races. We are going to band together and fight for ourselves because we matter.
Sanders also spoke more about proposed legislation that would impose a 5% annual wealth tax on billionaires. The senator will be making his next appearance tomorrow in Portland.